let's raise that perennial question once again, because it becomes a question that needs to be asked every year. Is this ban on firecrackers desirable? Is a complete cracker ban feasible? Is banning crackers a soft option? Is there a middle ground? We saw there green crackers being sold in some markets. Joining me now is Rahul Ishwar. He likes to call himself a Hindu activist and a philosopher. Gaurav Bansal is advocate at the Supreme Court. Abhishek Kar is senior program lead at the Council on Energy, Environment and Water. And I'm also joined by Akshay Marathe, Aam Aadmi spokesperson. Let's get each and every one of you, starting with you, Rahul Ishwar. Do you believe this ban on crackers is desirable but not feasible?
Rasdeep sir, first of all, happy Diwali. What we really need in Delhi and especially North India is a solution to pollution. And Diwali or any other festival should not be a soft target. What we need, as you rightly raised in the question, is a middle ground which balances traditional festivities and also concern for environment and ecology. For example, green crackers can be a possible solution. Anything that is less polluting but equally some pyrotechnics can be a good solution. Sometimes what we feel as a Hindu activist, what I feel or many Hindus feel is that Hindu faith is being singled out. When a Holi comes, our left liberal friends especially advise us to go with waterless Holi. When any other particular occasion comes, they will advise us that your festival is in some way regressive. When we pour milk over Bhagavan, Lord Shiv, they say it is something like regressive, you are wasting milk. When Karwa Chauth comes, they feel it is all regressive practice, which is male chauvinism and female submission. So, the singling out of Hindu faith is one issue. Second, we should be respectful of the diversity of every faith, especially Hindu faith for that matter, and we should be celebrating. So, outright banning is never the solution. Modulating, regulating, channelizing should be the right way ahead. That should be, good for any society. And we believers, one, we are very sensitive. Second, we are very mindful because we too have our own children. We don't want any kind of pollution to have any negative effects on them. Please remember, data shows that less than 1%, for example, in Delhi, is the contribution factors towards pollution. So there are systemic issues. There are vehicular pollutions. There are other stubble burning kind of things. So rather than focusing on real systemic issues which cause all this pollution over 364 days, please don't single out Diwali, which is a joyous mood. Don't dampen the mood by singling out and demonizing Diwali.
Okay, I'll come to some of the issues you've raised back to you, but first I want Akshay Marathe to respond to that, because Akshay, the Aam Aadmi Party government has made it very clear. They would like people to light diyas instead of burst crackers, and they are in favor, in a way, of a Diwali without any of these seemingly polluting crackers. But you're hearing the likes of Rahul Ishwar saying, and we've heard the BJP say it also today, that this is singling out Hindu festivals. How do you respond?
Rajdeep ji, first of all, a very happy Diwali to you and everybody who's watching this program. My humble suggestion to anyone watching television right now is to switch off the TV and go celebrate Diwali with your family. I think this is a day that everybody loves, especially in Delhi. I think anyone who has been to Delhi in Diwali knows that it is the most beautiful time of the year. It is beautiful because of the beautiful lighting that people put out outside their buildings, the diyas, the lights. And it's generally a very festive time for all of us. So I feel like there is no need to engage in a political slugfest over a situation like this. At least the Aam Aadmi Party is not interested in a political slugfest over Diwali. Now, specific to your question about firecrackers, Rajdeep ji, it is not a decision of a government or another government. It is a decision of the Supreme Court. We live in a democracy that is governed by the judiciary to take decisions on certain issues that go to it. And the judiciary has made it clear that the production and distribution of firecrackers has been banned. And under that decision, Rajdeep ji, I want to tell your viewers, it is not just in Delhi that the crackers have been banned. There are several states all over India. So it is not a question of Delhi and other states being treated differently. In fact, my home state of Maharashtra, in Mumbai, there are certain bans. There are bans in Haryana. Both of these states are ruled by the Bharatiya Janata Party.
No, but are they workable? So are they workable? Are they workable? Near my house on Dussehra day, I could hear crackers going on till late in the night. I'm sure tomorrow, day after, they will go. You will carry on with the crackers. Is it the way to sensitize people to use green crackers, explore a middle ground, rather than saying outright ban on all crackers? Because whenever we try to ban something outright, often people use that to just go ahead and say, and defy the ban.
Rajiv ji, I think we all need to think about it from an individual lens as well, because at the end of the day, the health impacts of these things are going to happen at the individual level. At the collective level, we have to think about policies and the kind of discourse that we want to build for ourselves. But I have older parents, I have grandparents. There are several friends of mine whose parents really suffer as a result of the rising pollution across North India. So it is not a question of religion at all. It is a question of whether we believe in preserving our lives. It is a question of whether we believe in what is a sensible thing to do, what is a responsible thing to do. Now, having said that, I do think that there is some kind of middle ground that is possible. I don't know if you are aware, Rajdeep ji, but a few years ago we had taken an initiative called Dilli Ki Diwali, where we had invited all Delhiites to come to Central Park in Connaught Place and had celebrated a massive light show, light and sound show. We had showcased the Ramayana using the light and sound show. I think there is a way that governments and societies have to find to kind of ensure that people find alternative ways of celebrating Diwali. And we did take one step in Delhi. We will continue to think of other ways, but at the same time, everyone needs to think about it on their own level as well.
You're talking about a community Diwali in a way which the Aam Aadmi Party government, you claim, is encouraging. But Abhishek Kar, Senior Program Lead at the Council on Energy, Environment and Water, you're hearing these two distinct viewpoints. It appears there is a health concern that those who support the ban on crackers saying, look, air pollution has reached undesirable, unacceptable levels. Let's ban crackers. The fact is that well before Diwali, these pollution levels were already terrible because there is stubble burning, there is construction, there is transport, there are all other issues. Is Diwali the soft option, Abhishek? Sorry.
So, thank you, Rajdeep, and very happy Diwali to you and the viewers. Let me just go back to the more fundamental question that why Diwali firecrackers become a big topic. That is because we already have a very high emission coming out from many other sources throughout the year. A very interesting snippet of fact for you is last year, because often crop residue burning and firecrackers really have got a lot of media attention and political attention. If you think of it, last year we looked at the data between 15th October and 15th November, which is the time for Diwali, as well as the crop residue burning. And the average AQI at that time was 300. Post-Diwali period, post-crop residue, between 15 November and 15 January, the average AQI was 350. It was more at that time post-Diwali. Is it because of Diwali firecrackers? No. Is it because of crop residue? No. It is because there are many other baseline sources where the emissions remain same. And you have to please understand, I want to just take you back on the science of the entire pollution. What we get concerned about is the AQI. AQI is basically a very simplified form of the concentration. But what matters is the emission. What happens in the winter months in Delhi is that meteorology becomes very adverse. So even if you have the same emissions, the concentration is going to go up because one, the wind speed goes down, the mixing height goes down, and there is no rain.
No, so all the more you're making if I may be allowed to intervene, all the more you're making a persuasive argument in a way that why do I need a cracker ban? If the crackers are not the sole cause, I mean, are we saying that we are looking at a soft option? Is this a soft option? Say, let's ban crackers, the real issue is not being tackled?
Okay, let me try to use an analogy. I am from Kolkata, so let's talk of Kolkata. If there is a healthy 25-year-old person who wants to have 5 Rasagollas a day for one day, that's fine. But if you have a diabetic person who is already taking high doses of insulin, and if that person takes 5 additional Rasagollas in a day, it really complicates the problem. So the challenge in the place like Delhi is we already have very high emissions. On the day of Diwali, the additional firecracker load is more. But thankfully, the good news here for us is this year, given the meteorological forecast, we expect post-Diwali, in a couple of days, there will be high wind speed because the emission and the concentration relationship is really bound by the meteorological factors.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen every year.
We should lead to some dispersion. So thankfully, even if there is a lot of flouting On the day of Diwali, hopefully things will slightly improve in a couple of days.
Right, but what you've said in a way is interesting. You've said that Diwali can worsen it. It's not as if Diwali is the cause for it. Diwali crackers can worsen a situation that already is dire. Let me get the lawyer from the Supreme Court, Gaurav Bansal. Where do you stand on this? Do you believe law, you can't legislate this? This has to be done through education, through convincing people, look, there are other ways you can celebrate Diwali. You don't only have to burst crackers that lead to noise pollution, air pollution. Is there another solution you believe, Gaurav?
Yeah, first of all, Rajiv Zada, happy Diwali, and to all the viewers, happy Diwali. As far as the this cracker ban is concerned, it is having a multiple dimensions. We have to take care of the public health, the environmental concern, the cultural traditional concerns. So if we talk about the crackers, firecrackers, see, right now the firecrackers, using of the firecracker is something which is a modern, you can say, modern addition and not the cultural tradition. Why I am saying so? That the firecrackers is originated from China after the invention of the gunpowder. When Lord Rama returned to Ayodhya, the people were celebrating with the oiling of the diyas and the exchanging of the sweets. It was after the introduction by the firecrackers by the Mughals and the British colonial who used the firecrackers for their royal celebrations. So after the independence, what happened that these firecrackers were publicly available. So that is why the people started using it as a celebration.
So you're saying it was never a part of original
my point
tradition.
Is that the use of the fire.
You're saying it was never part of original tradition. It is more recent because of accessibility and availability. You want to respond to what you just heard, Rahul Ishwar?
Sir, this is a very problematic argument. Please remember, our Hindu culture is very synergetic and syncretic. We take all the positives from wherever. Mahatma Gandhi rightfully said, we assimilate things while we stand on our own feet. So please remember, these have all become part of our culture. That's the reason why channelizing is needed. See, why do we take our children to such Diwali celebration where they can see some beautiful things in the sky, where there is a bit sound? See, all the other experiments like community Diwali can be tried. But please remember, modulating, regulating, and minimizing it. For example, in Kerala, you might know we recently had a huge tragedy here where there was a huge fire happened. There are elephant kind of stampede. So we always go there and request, instead of 10, let us have 1 or 2 elephants. Instead of having 2 hours of exclusive firecrackers, can we limit it to 30 minutes or something? So a kind of modulation, I believe.
So are you in favor of a limited that there can be only firecrackers can be burst only between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. Is that acceptable? People will then use those 2 hours to burst as many crackers as possible. That's not going to change anything.
No, that's the reason why sensitization, educating, awareness is needed. AAP needs to take BJP, Congress and the other parties into confidence. They can have some kind of an all-party meeting and there can be a consensus emerging. See, when there are dissident voices, especially on sensitive issue, which has communal connotations, things can flare up. So why don't, people like Arvind Kejriwalji or AAP call for an all-party meeting, evolve a consensus and then have a joint declaration. We all understand
I'll get Akshay to respond to you, but before that, Gaurav Bansal, you wanted to say something very quickly. Yes.
Yeah. See, individual basically enjoyment can't hurt the public at large. Okay. So as far as I myself is of the view, and in my society also, many of the persons are of the view that use of the firecrackers should be banned. So banning is right now needed because we are inhaling something like a gunpowder. I'm sorry that what my brother is saying, it is his view. But as far as the view at large is concerned, we need, yes, it's correct to say that we need sensitization. It's only because of the public participation the policies get implemented, otherwise it will remain only on the papers. But at the same time, when the air pollution crosses its maximum parameters, because the machine read till 999, it gets beyond and in multiple folds. So then the answer to this kind of the...
Gauravji, you made one important point which Rahul Ishwar, you should respond. Gauravji said a sentence which, no, just a minute. Individual enjoyment cannot be at the cost of community health, he says. You are free to enjoy, but you've got to also be mindful of the fact there could be people in your area who get affected by the smoke and the noise.
Razdeepji, nobody disagrees on these principles, but rather than motherhood statements or trying to guilt trap Hindus, what is needed consensus, education, and a way ahead. And all our social reformers, if you look, for example, starting from Vivekananda or Gandhi, has tried the way of educating, even for more crucial issues like temple entry and all. So guilt trapping, saying that you are backward, you are communal, you are some kind of a people who do something, and guilt trapping is not the way ahead. Educating, sensitizing, and you have one whole year, and the action should not be taken 1 week before Diwali. You have, after this Diwali, 1 year to educate, implement a social change, inspire people. See, otherwise people will unnecessarily start to rebel. People like me, we are laymen, we are believers, so we are sensitive. If somebody is saying you should not do this, naturally we will have a question, what about many other things, which I will never raise because it may involve other communities. So rather than guilt trapping, educating, awareness, sensitization, use the next 1 year to inspire a social change, not on the eve of Diwali or 1 week before it.
That's a good point, Akshay Marathe. You know, today we are hearing Arvind Kejriwal telling people celebrate Diwali with diyas, don't burst crackers. All of this can be part of, or some schools are doing it in Delhi and across the country, trying to sensitize the youth to be careful not to use crackers which might be polluting. But this needs communities' participation. You can't, if the moment you impose anything in India, there will be a reaction. And as Rahul Ishwar says, there will be people who think that this is being done against one particular faith, that Hindus must bear the brunt. You're guilt-tripping Hindus in a way.
Rajeevji, let me first start out by repeating what I said earlier, that neither the Aam Aadmi Party nor the BJP is above the Supreme Court of India. The Supreme Court of India has banned firecrackers, not Aam Aadmi Party and not even Bharatiya Janata Party. So the question of Aam Aadmi Party taking BJP and Congress into confidence doesn't arise, because these are judicial matters. They have to be settled by the courts of law. If you believe that the Supreme Court is wrong, you are welcome to go to the Supreme Court and fight your case again and re-litigate that case. But when it comes to issues of society and kind of taking our a collective consciousness beyond where we are, reforming society, if you're going to claim a victimhood and say that, oh, you are targeting me, I don't think this is the correct way to do things. We are a very mature, we are a responsible civilization. We have existed for thousands of years. There are several backward things about our society, Rajdeep ji, which over the years were phased out. They were phased out by self-critical thinking, by people who were responsible, sensible, and said, no, there are certain things that we have been doing, we cannot do anymore. It doesn't have to be a question of one religion versus the other. My lungs are not Hindu or Muslim. My lungs are human lungs. They will not change how they respond to firecrackers and pollution based on the religion I'm born into.
Those are strong words. My lungs are neither Hindu nor Muslim. They are, Rahul Ishwar, by positing this as an attack on Hinduism, then you're effectively saying the Supreme Court of this country is against Hindu faith.
No, absolutely
what Akshay Marathe is saying, governments have to implement Supreme Court orders. Now, we would love them to implement all Supreme Court orders a little bit more fiercely. But the fact is, you can't blame governments for what Supreme Court has mandated.
No, Rasidji, as a responsible citizen, I would always hold Supreme Court in the highest of regard. But naturally, somewhere along my mind, even my mind will ask, there are many aspects where you say in Jallikattu, bull protection is very secular. But if somebody asks for the similar thing in Eid, will it become communal? See, that's the reason why it's a sensitive topic. Why don't we understand the sensitivity and gravity of the topic? We cannot have such kind of narratives being born, because that is not good for Hindu-Muslim unity or pluralism. That's the reason why educate, sensitize, go the extra mile. Aam Aadmi Party is a party which can go the extra mile. You have deep roots. Why don't you sensitize? Invite BJP, invite Congress, invite other parties. Have kind of an all-party meeting. This is the way ahead. This is how you build consensus in democracy. It is not a mechanical thing that once you have the order. And Rasidji, with due respect, I may remind you what happened in Jallikattu after Supreme Court verdict, what happened in Shabarimala, which protests we led in Kerala. So please remember, it is not a mechanical thing, something like switching on and switching off.
It's not mechanical, but at the end of the day, once we've accepted, you're free to go to the Supreme Court and challenge the ban. The Supreme Court has imposed it. Abhishek, in conclusion, do you think that the Supreme Court, in a way that you're going to have to find this middle ground? Because otherwise, we are finding that many of these bans are not really working on the ground. Is there a way? Do you see a middle ground at all from an environmental perspective?
Rajdeep, let me try to put the question differently. If you think about many other cities in the Western world who do firecrackers. They don't have this debate crisis every time because their levels of emission around the year are much lower. And and rather than getting into this
So shouldn't
slugfest
the
for
Supreme
one
Court
day
target that?
firecrackers,
Shouldn't the Supreme Court target emissions?
the Supreme Court must target and the government also should focus on emission reduction. Currently, under the National Clean Air Program, the incentives are for reduction of concentration. But the focus must be on emission reduction. And please understand this. I'll give you one simple example which everyone in the studio they face. They have their residential welfare societies, associations, and the Commission for Air Quality Management in NCR and adjoining areas have instructed the resident welfare associations to provide electric heaters to security staff to avoid open biomass burning during the winters because they need to heat up. Please see how many of those residential associations are actually doing it. So it is a clean air is also a citizen responsibility beyond going mandates and laws and governance because ultimately with
Right.
limited resources there's only a limited to which government can enforce. So there are several sources of pollution. I really request all the panelists to go back and try it out and focus on the other sources which are around the year, and once those sources are removed, then every year in Diwali, this kind of heated debate on Diwali firecrackers will not happen.
So basically you're saying make it a 365 days, 24/7 commitment to ensure cleaner air. That will give you greater moral authority, some would say, to then be able to say even during Diwali that maybe we need to moderate the use of crackers. Otherwise, as I said, this debate, as we've often seen, becomes extremely polarized. I hope Akshay Marathe, y'all will look at that make air pollution, there's an election coming up in Delhi in a few months from now, make that an issue that is debatable. I don't know whether people will vote for you on that, but we have a right to clean air. Surely you and I and our children and our parents have a right to clean air. So Akshay Marathe, I hope to see clean air being part of your political debate, not just at Diwali, but around the year.
Absolutely, Rajdeep ji. And I do think that air pollution is a national issue that impacts several, I think, the whole North Indian plains are affected by air pollution. So it is a national problem that all of us have to work around the clock, around the year to work on. And Aam Aadmi Party is certainly part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Okay. Let's see whether I have to debate this yet again 1 year from now. But for now, I just hope that people enjoy Diwali. But there are various ways to celebrate Diwali and be conscious of the fact that when you celebrate, your celebration should not affect the health of someone who lives in your neighborhood. Find that middle ground and work within the community. Celebrate Diwali, but do it as to the extent possible. Make it noise-free and make it less polluted. Thanks very much to all my panelists for joining me here on the show.